everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new. I've got my army green on today because we are going to be talking about these brushes again. These are the ones from Spectrum X KJH, which is KJH Hughes, a makeup artist. These brushes blew up everywhere. These launched earlier this year and I picked them up, and I have been wanting to update you guys on how I like them, if I use them, how much I use them, which brushes are good, which ones I don't like, all of the details. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. So if you guys didn't remember, these came in a traveling case, which I use all the time. Wanted to kind of talk about the little accessories first, and then we're going to jump into the brushes. But it also came with this nice microfiber towel. And you guys, I did not expect to use this very much, honestly, but I used it all of the time. So not all of these brushes are clean, I'm sorry. I cleaned them recently to show you guys, and then I've already dirtied them up since then, so we're just gonna have to roll with it. But the perfect thing is just to run your brush on the towel to get all of the excess pigment out. The brush will still be kind of tinted that color, but it is lighter than what it was. And now if I were to dip into a pink, it wouldn't really have the brown on it. So I use this all the time for that. I also use it to wipe off my hands. If I have put a shimmer on one of my fingers, put it on my eye, and then I need to wipe it off. I really use both of those things all of the time. And I also keep these in this cup sitting on my vanity because it's just really pretty. It's a really nice way that they package this. But let's go ahead and actually talk about the brushes. I did have a full dedicated original take on these brushes. When I first got them, I showed you all of the different ones based on what numbers they were, what I maybe thought I would use them for, and I also used them for a first impressions look, and I did a full face of makeup with them. So I'm gonna have that video linked in the eye and down below. I think the eye might be over there, I don't remember. Wherever it's at, it'll be up there in the eye and also down below. So if you guys want to see that, it'll be there. This is going to be like a little bit of a quicker review. I just wanted to give you my updated thoughts because there's really not a lot of people talking about them regularly anymore, and now that they've been out for a while, I've really got some thoughts on these brushes, and I just wanted to share them with you. One of you guys actually commented on a recent video of mine asking me if I still liked them, so this video is happening a little bit quicker than I had planned because I wanted to get this out for you, and I hope that this video might help you in some way decide whether or not you might want to pick them up or maybe get something else. I wanted to start off with these brushes. So it's kind of a big range of them, but these are most of the face brushes. I know that they're not like labeled what they're for, but these are most of the larger brushes in the selection. So I'm purposefully leaving out this like paddle foundation sort of brush. I don't really get a lot of use out of this. So that's one I really don't use. However, all of these brushes are my favorites. Seriously, I use them every single day. So there are two brushes here that are my favorites, and I'm kind of surprised by one of them, but it's the two of these. I use this one for powder. This is the number 1, and I use this one, the number 5, for bronzer every single day. Now, I do have a brush from Nabla that I also use for powder underneath the eyes, but this one is what I use to set my face every single day. It's so dense, but so fluffy at the same time. It's just very soft and perfect for that. And the bronzer brush is not what I typically would use for bronzer. I used to use a brush almost the size of this one, but I use these every single day. So I love those. These I also use almost every single day. I rotate the two of these. These are the exact same brush, the number 8. I rotate the two of these brushes with the ones I have from Real Techniques, and these are the ones that I use for highlighter, and they're also really, really great. Truthfully, I probably use them about 50-50. Yeah, I don't really know. Whichever one I see first, basically, is the one that I pick up. I still really love these brushes from Real Techniques. These are called just the setting brush, but I think it's like perfect for highlight, and these honestly are really good for that too. So 50-50, I kind of go between them. Now for these brushes, for blush, I either use one of these, and it depends on the blush. So if I have a blush that's really pigmented, then I typically would use this one. This is also from Real Techniques. This is the blush brush, and sometimes I just want that like really diffused, like light look, but it also helps when a blush is super pigmented because it's so fluffy, so I can just get like the tiniest little bit of it, and the bristles aren't so dense, so that kind of helps with that. But sometimes I want a brush like this, which is the number 2, for my blush because it's a little bit more targeted It's a little bit more densely packed, and this works really great for blushes that aren't overly pigmented. And again, kind of like the highlight, I do kind of go between these 50-50, but I really enjoy the two of these because not only do they give me two completely different brush options for blush, and they can give me really different effects, but if one of them is dirty with maybe a peachy pink kind of color, I can use this for more of like a purpley toned blush. And I really do reach for these multiple times a week. Like I said, I kind of go 50-50. I do think recently I have been using this one from Spectrum more often than Real Techniques, but I do like both of them. And then these are the brushes that I use for cream products. So if I'm reaching for a cream bronzer, I'm using this one. This is the 04. And if I'm reaching for a cream blush, I'm using this one, which is the number 3. And these are perfect for cream blushes and bronzers. They're just really good. I'm really happy with the face brushes. Let's tackle the rest of these. So I'm gonna kind of like pick and pull some of these and talk to you about them. So right off the bat, my least used ones are the little liner brushes. So let's talk about these first. This is the number 22 and 24. 22 I kind of have a problem with because when I got it, it was frayed and it's still frayed. I'll try and put a picture so you guys can see. It's like really frayed though. However, when I put it into like my potted liner and you kind of like twist the bristles in it, it does sharpen out. However, I just wish that it was already pointy. So that also is like not my favorite brush. So far that's only 2 out of everything we've talked about that I personally don't use a lot, but neither one of them are bad. This one was a little bit frustrating, but it still works whenever I need it to. And then we have this liner brush. This is the number 24, which is like the even smaller, more detailed liner brush. I really like this one. I don't use it a lot because I just don't do a lot of like liner looks, but this one has the tiniest little bristles and you can really get super detailed with this and make some really fun graphic liner looks, but it is one of my least used brushes from the whole set. Every other brush I regularly use. So, oops, I got a Sonia Kashuk one in here. That was not on purpose, but every other brush in this set I use constantly. So some of these are clean. It's not because I don't use them. It's just because I, like I said, washed all these brushes to do this video and then I used them before I actually filmed this video. So that's just kind of what's going on there. So yeah, I use this brush actually a lot. This is the number 7 brush. I will either use this for eyeshadow primer, or if I get mascara on my lid that I didn't mean to get, this is the perfect brush for buffing it off because it's really dense and nicely packed, but it doesn't ever like remove what's underneath it. I don't know. I use this brush a lot for that though, because I get mascara on my eyelids like a lot, more than I'd like to admit. So a couple more densely packed brushes that I use a lot are the 3 of these. So this one in number 10, I use a ton for powder, and I really will like set my eyelids with that or set underneath my eye if I want like a more targeted powder. But I use this a lot for like a bone colored shade on the lid. So for instance, this is the palette that's the closest to me. If I'm going to use this, I would use this brush for this light shade here because this is the shade I'm going to pick up and put all over the lid. It's super quick, especially early in the morning when I'm running late for work. I use it all the time. As far as the 2 of these go, I use them for the lower lash line a lot. I just kind of go between the 2. These are the number 12 and the number 13, but both of them are pretty good for that. And yeah, I also use them quite regularly. Also, the quality of these brushes, insanely good, like so good. I've washed them so many times. I literally use them every single day. There's not a day when I do my makeup that I don't reach for, I would say a minimum 3 of these brushes, like minimum. And that's probably because I'm barely wearing any makeup, only a few products, and I'm like not using that many brushes in general, but I use at least 3 of these brushes every day. More often than not, way more than that. So let's just keep rolling through them. I use this one every single day. This is my favorite brow brush. I actually use the spoolie more often because on a day-to-day basis, I use the Milani brow marker, so I don't actually need this shape very often. However, I do really like it for liner. We got some of these more like flat brushes. I use this one a ton. This is the number 16 brush. I didn't think I'd really use it a lot. It's more of like a squared off shape. I use this a lot for more like detailed crease work. So if I want a very targeted color in the crease, maybe to deepen it up, I use this because you can stick it right in your crease and it's not gonna go anywhere other than in your crease. So I use that a lot for that. This brush, Katie said this a lot in her videos, that it would surprise you and that you would use it a lot, and she was right. This is the 09 brush. I use this for so much that I wouldn't think that I would use it for. So you can use this to like clean up a line. You can use it for a liner. I use it a lot for shadow liners, like powders and stuff, and you can just stamp it on really, really nicely. Again, this is just good for very precise, detailed work when you want a line, but it's also really soft and dense, and so there's just a lot you can do with this. You could use this to smudge something underneath the lower lash line. It's really nice for that too, but I didn't know I needed that brush, but now that I have it, I would miss it a lot if I didn't have it. Okay, 3 brushes that are kind of, I don't use them every day, but it's just because of my preference. I prefer to put shimmery shadows on with my finger versus a brush. So these 3 brushes are kind of more often meant for shimmery shadows, but you can see I still use them all. They're already all have pigment in them and I just recently washed them. So I have the number 14 here, the number 20, and the number 15. So these are all just more like flat shader brushes, but I still use them. There's certain formulas of shimmers that I actually really like to use a brush with. This one here is more pointed. This is the number 14 again, and it's also really nice using it for details, but also laying down shimmer shades if you needed to. It's just, they're all really versatile. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. And then some very often used eye brushes for me. These are the brushes I probably use the most of all the eye brushes just because they're crease brushes. These are perfect. They just vary in sizes. So you've got brushes here of all sizes and they're really good. I use this one all the time for really detailed crease work. Again, maybe here on the inner part. This is the number 21. I also use this a lot for inner corner highlight. Wait, no, that's this other one. This is the one I use for more so like crease work. This one, the number 18, this is the one I use for inner corner highlight all of the time. And then these 3 are my favorite crease brushes. Emily, if you're watching this, these are the best small crease brushes, perfect for more detailed looks. I think you mentioned that in like your video that you posted just like a couple of days ago. Was it today's video? I don't know. You know I watch all your videos, but anyways, these are perfect. Really, really great. So we already talked about the small 2. You can use those for like really great details, but this one, which is the largest one, the number 11, it's like pinched here versus being all round, and usually like right after you wash it, it'll kind of get its form back, but it's almost usually like that. I'm not explaining it very well, but this brush almost has more bristles on one side versus the other, and so it kind of like points itself into your crease, and it just gives the best effect, and it's so easy and seamless to blend shades into your crease. This one's just really unique, and it honestly is kind of flared out right now, but typically it's more like that, I would say, right after you wash it, but I use it all the time, so it kind of gets a little bit frayed in between washes. Any brush is going to do that. And then these 2 are also just really great. This is the number 19 and the number 17. Again, just really, really good crease brushes. I know this was a lot to run through rather quickly, but this is something that I really invested in. I think it was about $230 for the whole set. But what I did, I remember, with whatever the price was, I divided it by how many brushes, and I think each brush was about $9, and that didn't include the case or the towel that it comes with. I just kind of thought of those as being like free with the purchase. So for each brush to be $9, I honestly think that that's a really good value. The one thing that I don't love, and honestly, like, it's really not that big of a deal, but I prefer personally for bristles to be black. But I get like the color story that she was going through is really pretty. But this is just one example. This is actually probably my most used crease brush right now. This is from Sigma. This is the E40. I like this one because it's giant, so I use the two of these like similarly, but it's even bigger than those and fluffier. So this is one that I find really beneficial to my collection. But I really like the black bristles. They look just a little bit cleaner overall, I think. Like, when you look at them, you can still tell it's dirty, but when you clean it, it goes back to being black, versus sometimes these are like stained. Like, for instance, I must have had a brush that had a really dark pigment, and then it leaned up against some of these other ones and left marks, even though I've washed them since then. They have faded a little bit, so I'm sure it's going to come out with time, but I prefer a deeper colored bristle. But that is like 100% personal preference, and I don't know if anyone else really cares about that. It's just something that I noticed. But Spectrum has another collection. I'll put a picture here. They have a face set and an eye set, and the packaging is so cute. I think it's called their Zodiac collection, but it's got stars on it. That packaging or like design of brush is stunning to me. Like, I think it's so pretty. And honestly, if it goes on sale again, I might pick it up because I really have been so impressed with these brushes that I wouldn't mind trying some more. But they're not the same shapes. So I think that for what you're getting with these, the color of the bristles and the barrels or ferrules, whatever you call them, is really just personal preference. These are gorgeous brushes. Like, they're such good quality. I've been using them since, did these come out in May? I don't know. I feel like it was either spring or summer when I first got these, but ever since they came out, I ordered them on opening day, like right as soon as they launched. I've been using them ever since I got them in the mail, and they're not loose at all. Like, none of the bristles ever feel loose. They wash great. They hold up great. None of them have faded off. Like, none of the words have come off. Nothing. These seem like they're brand new, except you can tell I've used them, obviously, because of the light colored bristles. So I know that was a lot of talking in a very short amount of time, but like I said, I do have a more detailed video about these brushes that will be linked down below, and you're welcome to check that out if you want even more details about this brush set. But overall, after using these for months and months and months, I definitely recommend these. I really do. If you're looking to invest in some brushes, I don't think you can go wrong with those, seriously. Sigma brushes are really good, but overall, I really prefer the shapes that Katie Jane Hughes came up with for this. She's a makeup artist, and she knows what she's doing. I love her work. I just think that she's so talented and extraordinarily gifted in the makeup world, and she just knows techniques. And I really feel like if there was one person to come out with a brush set that would work for literally anyone, it was her, and it was this brush set. So I really feel like it's perfect. That's my final opinion basically about it. I don't see any of that changing. Like I mentioned, there's only 2 brushes in this whole set that I really don't reach for. I do use that other third liner brush, just not very often, but there's really just 2, and I could use them if I wanted to. I do occasionally use this one. Every now and then I'll use this one to like buff something away if my other ones are dirty with something, but really this is like the only one I just like don't have a purpose for. But this one is more so like the fraying that sometimes I don't reach for, even though it does end up being okay. But yeah, for 2 brushes out of this whole set to be the only thing I really don't use, I'm fine with it. And I really, really love this brush set. So if any of you guys were on the fence about getting this set, or maybe just wanted some thoughts about it, I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. If you enjoyed today's video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you check out my other videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!